Folks, welcome to the Soul Centers. And as we continue our journey to episode 100, a milestone indeed, I thought it was a good way to look back into the past where we all began in season one. And I thought no better way to do it with a bit of a guy who's a bit mercy, but he's also the bastard son, Bevan, owner of No Mercy Wrestling. Welcome back, my friend.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Hey, true pleasure, mate. Now, obviously, it's been a while since you've been on, nearly a year in itself. So I want to know, this year of 2023 for you, how has it treated you?
It's been very good. There's been a few ups and downs with it, as with everyone, but for the most part, like No Mercy's going amazing. My personal wrestling bookings are going amazing. It's probably the busiest I've ever been, ironically, because I said I was stopping this year. But yeah, everything's going great. It's a really good time.
Hey, you've truly killed it indeed, my friend. I know you've even won some titles this year as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I've regained the Pro Wrestling Carnage Tag Team Championships, a championship, which I always have to say I did not lose. It was taken from me. So I was technically, just taking back what was rightfully mine, obviously. I won those with All of a Sudden, and then I've just recently become the VCW Heavyweight Champion as well.
Well, hey, progress indeed, my friend. And obviously,
Right.
regaining your own rightful property, I think, is a fair thing to say as well. It just really seemed like the whole Welsh scene in itself has just exploded with awesomeness and so many great things going on. And from where we are now, how do you feel this year has treated the Welsh scene particularly?
You hit the nail on the head. It's absolutely exploded. In 2022, you could sort of feel there was like a rumbling going on, and you could feel it kind of growing and growing. But this year, it's just gone absolutely insane. And and I'm not just saying it because I'm Welsh and because I'm biased, but Wales is genuinely the place to be in wrestling in Britain right now. And it's, the evidence is there. You've got No Mercy. We've got New Wave Academy doing amazing things. You've got Attack coming back and doing amazing things. You've got Pro Wrestling Carnage. You've got VCW. You've got Slam Masters. You've got Exposure. There's just so many amazing companies in Wales right now. And the reason I believe personally, and I'm sure a lot of people would agree, the reason I believe that it's doing so well is, for the most part, we're all working together and we're all helping each other and we're all supporting each other. And that's the way it should be. If you look at other scenes around the country, around the UK, there's a few companies that work together, but for the most part, they're kind of separate and they're kind of like, well, we're doing our thing, you do your thing type of thing. And obviously in some places, there's still that age-old carny way of thinking of ripping posters down and all of that crap. So, which, that needs to stop. And that has stopped here for the most part. And I think it's evident, it's no coincidence why Wales is doing so well. It's because we're all supporting each other. And I think if the rest of the UK could take a leaf out of our book, I think the UK as a whole would start to get like this as well.
Hey, I would absolutely agree. I mean, hey, I'm Scottish and I'm no biased. I'm agreeing. I think Wales is absolutely killing it right now as well. I like to think that the Welsh scene right now, the best way to visualize it, it's like a roundabout. Many people can get onto one spot, but they can always get off at another place. And it just shows that great awesomeness. And especially with the talent I've had on as well. I've had people like Aluna, Tilly Rose, Shane Hooker, Leon Cage, just all talking about everything going on there. And they've even talked about yourself, pal, and what you bring to the table. And they're really happy and proud to see what you bring. How does that feel, to hear that people are talking beneficial about yourself?
It's obviously feels great. And especially with like the names you've mentioned, like Shane and Leon and James Ellis and Kenny Mantra and all these guys, like these are all guys that started, I don't want to say started, but while, they've moved on to quote unquote bigger and better things, they're working for Attack, they're working for Chaos, they're working for Wrestle Carnival, they're doing all of these amazing things. But I always come back to the thing of they cut their teeth in No Mercy, and I'm so proud that they did. And that's not me saying like, oh well, they started with me, so whatever. But it's quite the contrary. I'm glad that I could give them that platform to come up and step up, and then move on to bigger and better things. And especially with like people with like Shane and Leon Cage, because they started with us, they started training with us as well, and obviously they've gone on to New Wave Academy and trained under Brandon White and Wild Boar and Danny Jones, etc. And to me, that, well, first of all, a training company or a training academy should never stop their trainees from going anywhere else, and they should never bubble them in. I know there's a few places around like that, and personally, I think that's wrong, and that isn't the way to go. I'm proud to say that they've gone on to New Wave and trained with these amazing trainers, and it feels great. I kind of feel like, I'm going to show my age now, but I kind of feel like a little bit of a wrestling dad to especially to like Shane and Leon, because I helped start them out, and as I said, now they've moved on to amazing things, and it just feels amazing that I could be even the tiniest amount of involved with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, truly indeed, man, and just so many great stars out of Wales as well. And I know, sadly, a wee thing would happen within the Welsh scene as well, the passing of a legend in Adrian Street, a true icon. And obviously, for our fans who are watching and maybe not familiar with Adrian, Bev, could you just inform us about what Adrian meant to Welsh wrestling in particular?
Sure, yeah. Adrian was he was an absolute legend. He's, to Welsh people, he's probably like, on the level of Dusty Rhodes to Americans, or just to wrestling in general. He was a pioneer. He was doing things with his character at the time, and I'm not exaggerating, legitimately could have got him seriously injured or killed. Like, that's how serious it was at the time, because he was very flamboyant, he was very androgynous, and but Adrian knew that doing these things and causing this much controversy would get him paid, and it did. The man was super successful, and obviously went to Canada, went to America, went to Japan. But for Welsh people, or especially from around my age, Adrian, the most importantly, apart aside from all the glitz and glamour and the money and the stardom, Adrian made it for us so that we could look at him and go, wait a minute, I'm from a small little Welsh town in the valleys, which has nothing. If Adrian can go and do that, that means I can go and do that. And he gave us hope that you can get out of your little town and where there's nothing going on, and you can go and make something of yourself. And that's the most important thing, in my opinion, of what he did. And yeah, he was just an absolute true icon and true legend. And yeah, it was a sad time when he passed. It really was.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's a very famous image of Adrian as well, like sort of like the coal mines with his championship belt, like around it. Would you say like that picture and that image of Adrian might be one of the most historic wrestling images of all time?
Without a doubt. Yeah, as you said, it was by a coal mine. His father was a miner, and that's what he had basically planned out for Adrian. All of the family, like most people around that time in the valleys, if you didn't get out of there, you were going to be a miner, or if you were a girl, you were going to work in the factory. And that's just the way it was. Unfortunately, that was your life planned out for you. And Adrian obviously was just like, I don't want that. I want to make something of myself. And yeah, that photograph is the day he went back to the mine that he was supposed to work in, with his father and his uncles and cousins and everyone else that worked there. And I just love seeing that photo, because you can see in every single one of their faces, they're just like, what in the hell is this? And Adrian is just like, he stood there just so proud and just like, yeah, that's right, look at me. And I just love it. But there's also, unfortunately, there's downsides of that. His father got really, really a lot in a lot of trouble because of Adrian's actions, because of how he was acting and stuff. And he lost some jobs because of it, and so it caused a lot of crap, but at the end of the day, I think it was in an interview, Adrian said his father said to him, finally, I'm proud of you. And he was like, that made it all worth it. So yeah, Adrian is a huge, huge inspiration for most Welsh wrestlers, I would say, if not British wrestlers, or should be at least.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I know there's, like, I would implore the fans right now who are watching, check out the WWE networks. They have a documentary on Adrian as well. Definitely give that a check and see what, his life, and to see how important this man was as well. Do you feel like maybe sometime in the future, Bevan, no matter what company or something like that, they can maybe do like a way to honor Adrian, maybe like a tournament or something like that for his memory?
I think that would be great. The question is who does it? There's always going to be, if company A does, say, for example, I don't know, the Adrian Street Memorial Battle Royal, there's always going to be company B or company C that's going to be, well, why do you get to do it? We should get to do it, and all this thing. So I find it's a little bit of a tough one for that, of deciding who gets to do what. But I definitely think something should be done. I mean, even if it was like WWE, for example, like a memorial tournament or anything like that, because as you said, he's on the WWE Network. The documentary, which is fantastic, is on there, and a lot of his matches are on there. So, WWE obviously acknowledge his importance in the business. So why not? There's a Dusty Rhodes Invitational, there's a Mae Young Invitational. Let's do the Adrian Street Invitational.
Hey, I mean, I think the best way to do that is if we get WrestleMania in the UK.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. I'll tell you one thing that really upset me was I think the last time I was on here with you, I said I wasn't going to Clash in the Castle, but I ended up going. I ended up getting tickets. So it was a crazy day. Just go off on a tangent here for a second. It was a crazy day. Myself, and a few others were crewing for ICW because ICW were in Cardiff the same day. Actually, they ran the show after the Clash. So we were there all day setting up. We went over to Clash, so I managed to get some free tickets, which was fantastic. Went to Clash, and Adrian Street was there, obviously, and they put him on the big screen. And there were people behind me, and they were just so disrespectful. They were like, "Oh, who's that guy? Why is he on the screen?" And someone next to them actually said, if you don't know who that is, you shouldn't be sitting in this stadium. And I completely agreed with it. And yeah, just a little story like how I find newer fans don't really show the respect to the old guard that should be shown. But that day was absolutely crazy. We did Clash, and then a few of us then went back to ICW in the student union at midnight, ran the show till 4 a.m. and then I think we got out there about 7 a.m. in the end. It was absolutely crazy.
I was the same as well. Like, I was traveling down from Scotland all the way down to London, then trained there, and by the time it was like end of the show, I was wanting like, oh yeah, I'll do some other wrestling shows, and I was done. Literally, I was like half asleep with a nugget in my mouth, just like, yeah, I'm passed out. Job's done here. But obviously, WrestleMania in the UK, if that does happen, I would love to see it. Look, I'm also lazy as well. I kind of want it in Scotland just to be cheeky and not travel the 8 hours down. But I think some people said Wembley, but I honestly think Principality could definitely hold a WrestleMania. Do you agree as well, Bevan?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we all saw with Clash how Cardiff just transformed itself to WWE land, basically. It was like Disneyland, but for wrestling. It was so cool. It was just wrestling fans everywhere. There was so much going on. There were so many events happening. And I was like, this could happen. And I thought at the time, I was like, this could easily hold a WrestleMania. Like, there's no question about it. They got, 75,000 in there. Easy. That's a WrestleMania crowd, So I personally think Principality could do it. But for the name value, I think they would go with Wembley, because Wembley's got the name value, and it's an iconic, historic, stadium. So I think if they will do it, they're going to do Wembley.
Absolutely. I'm sure if that gets announced, Tony Khan will make a couple angry tweets or something like that. I'm sure we'll see that.
Yeah.
Obviously, coming back to No Mercy itself, you had some great shows. Obviously, even going to last year when we finished up, you had your Christmas show as well, a Cobra Calibre Christmas, and you had so many great matches on. Want to talk about as well as obviously previous guest of the show, the boy James Ellis against Harley Hudson with the Combat Legacy Championship. Yeah. And I think that's really awesome to see. Like, obviously, this championship could be men, women, or anyone could come and have a go at that championship. Do you think that's a special point to have with championships, maybe in the modern day?
Yeah, I've made a big thing in No Mercy of having our titles into gender, into weight class. They're just open titles. There's no weight classes, as I said. It's not men for women or any gender. It's literally open. Excuse me. So, and that's not just the legacy belt either. That's our heavyweight title too. Well, I say heavyweight. It's not technically a heavyweight title because you don't have to be a heavyweight to go for it, but the main belt, if you will. Same as the Iron Cobra tournament. It's not just like we've only had male competitors so far in the first two, but that just so happens that it was only males that applied for it and got into the tournament. But yeah, it is completely open to anyone, and I think, like, don't get me wrong, I've had a few complaints about it from single-minded knuckle draggers, idiots, who were like, "Oh, women shouldn't be fighting men," blah 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 blah. I'm like, dude, it's wrestling. Come on, you know, we're all fans of a guy who pretended to be dead for 30 years. You know what I mean? Don't take it so serious. That's the way I see it, anyway. You know, I think wrestling should be for everyone and anyone that wants to do it. I think it was Dave Mastiff actually that said something recently that I agree with. It goes a little bit into the training side of it, but watching wrestling is for absolutely anyone and everyone. Doing wrestling isn't necessarily for everyone, but everyone should at least have the opportunity to try. And I kind of go with that for most things with No Mercy, like with the titles. Anyone should be able to try and go for a title. If it just so happens that it's, I don't know, 100 pounds female wrestler versus a 300-pound male wrestler, or whichever it may be, you know. But at the end of the day, as I said, it's wrestling. Let's not take it so serious. Let's have some fun. It's entertainment. Let's just entertain each other. You know, let's just entertain everyone and be entertained, and that's what it's all about. You know, and I find so many people just take it so serious, or too seriously sometimes. Like, I can't remember. I think actually it was that match. It was Harley Hudson versus James Ellis versus Lucia Lee in the triple threat for the Legacy title at Cobra Kai Christmas, and I had a YouTube comment saying, "That's not realistic. If Harley Hudson punched James Ellis in the face, he wouldn't fall down." And I'm just like, dude. Get out of your mother's basement, get outside into the real world, have some fresh air, and just enjoy yourself. That's what I say to these people. You know, just try and enjoy it. You know, like half of the time, all of these, like, or if you, for quote unquote IWC, all of the comments, all that kind of stuff, it's like, I sometimes think that they want to have something to moan about. Like, I don't think they want to enjoy it. It's very strange. I don't know. Like, since we started putting like matches on YouTube and stuff, I've seen firsthand at how strange people think about wrestling, and some of the comments that I've had, like, if they're negative, like, I don't care about admitting this. I'll fully admit it. If they're negative in any way, I just delete them because I don't want negativity on my channel. Like, I'll happily let someone have an opinion as long as it's constructive. But if someone just goes onto a video and says, "Oh, this is just crap because I don't like women wrestling men," I'm deleting it. I don't want that negativity on my channel, and I'm not gonna sully the hard work that these athletes are doing in the ring because of the thoughts of one sad individual. Do you know what I mean? So that's the way I think about it, anyway.
Hey, Bevan, I mean, I completely agree with you. I don't think the IWC have fun in their vocabulary. It's more just moan. I mean, Christ, they're moaning now about CM Punk turning up at Survivor Series, so that's their big thing right now. I mean, I'm like, just piss off. I ain't up for that shit.
I just feel like screaming, like, make up your mind on what you want, because, like, I don't think they even know. I really don't. Like, I've had that with a fan who comes to No Mercy. Again, that's an oxymoron. So they come to No Mercy, they're a fan, but they don't stop moaning about the shows and the booking and the results, and I'm like, eventually I've just said to them, I was like, look, if you don't like it, just don't come to the show. Like, there's plenty of other shows you can go and check out. I'll even throw you a link to all of the other companies. And every show I get a comment or a message, and it's like, "Oh, I don't think this person should have won. I don't think this person. Oh, I think this should." I'm like, "Do you want to book this? Like, come on." But like you said, I don't think fun is in that type of fans' vocabulary, unfortunately, which is annoying. But I tell you what, the people that I love, I mean, I love everyone that comes to a No Mercy show, don't get me wrong, but the fans that I love engaging with and that I love talking to and interacting with are your casual families who may not watch Raw or SmackDown or whatever, and they'll just come to the odd show every now and again. They're the most exciting, excitable, happy, thankful fans that I ever see at our shows. They are so amazing to talk to. because especially like with the kids, they come up and they're like so happy that they've got to see wrestling live most of the time for the first time. And for a lot of them, they don't realize that they can see wrestling in their hometown because they didn't know about it, So that to me is really, really, really rewarding. I love talking to those fans and interacting with them, especially at live shows as well. Sometimes more so than the quote unquote smart marks, because as I said, more often than not, they've got something to complain about. It's tiring. As a promoter, it's very tiring.
I can imagine, mate, indeed. And I think that's something special as well. Like some interested fans don't understand how important local independent wrestling is to get that crowd and have a family night out. Because I've done a lot more independent shows myself this year, and I absolutely now fully understand how essential that is, because you see the kids having fun, you see the families going on a night out and socializing with others, and it's integral. It's sort of like the blood life, of wrestling here in the UK, especially. I mean, would you agree as well, Bevan?
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, like I think it was a good meme I saw the other day saying, support your local shows because you don't know when you're going to see the next TV star, and it's not an exaggeration. Everyone, or I'd say pretty much everyone in the UK scene, at least, that may be on AEW or maybe at the Impact or WWE, whatever you want to say, 99% of them started in these small, tiny little town shows, or the traveling camp shows like Welsh Wrestling and All Star and all of those kinds of ones. And that's where they learned how to learn their craft. That's where they learn how to work, and if you don't go to these shows, if you don't support them, you won't get to see them at a bigger level on TV at the bigger companies, or they won't be getting signed because there aren't these smaller shows to support that and to get them on the radar of these bigger companies. So they are, like you said, they are the bloodline, the absolute lifeline for anyone that wants to make a career out of this.
Mm-hmm.
It's so important. And like you said, it's important for families and fans to go to those shows, because that's where, if these shows don't succeed and if the smaller shows don't survive, then you can kiss goodbye anyone getting signed or going to the bigger companies, because there aren't the smaller shows to help them get there.
Hey, very true indeed, mate, as well. And I want to touch on, before we move on from the Christmas show as well, Harley Hudson's had a hell of a year as well. Now she's passed the TNA gut check and now going to be getting a developmental deal for that company. I want, from yourself, Bevan, obviously having her on your show, how essential do you think Harley will be added to the TNA roster?
She is we all knew she was going to be a star. I mean, it's kind of obvious. You look at certain people and you just know they're a star. They're going to be a star, or they're a star in the making, or it's just a matter of time. There's loads of people on the UK scene right now like that. And it's evident of the ones that are making it, like Harley Hudson, like Leon Slater getting on Impact as well. It was just inevitable. It was going to happen. And I'm really, really excited to see what they do with her, because obviously, yes, we know Scouse and Proud, and that voice and that accent and that character she's got is going to do wonders, I think, in our Impact. And I think it might take a little bit of time for the Americans to get with it. But I think what they need to do, or not need to, I mean, I'm not telling Impact what to do, obviously, but I think what could be cool is if they start her as a heel and just have her be the most loudest, obnoxious, over the top, screeching loud person in the world, just to annoy people to the point where she gets over. Because it happened with Vicky Guerrero, that kind of thing, where she was so annoying you couldn't help but involve yourself with it. Because like they say, any reaction is better than no reaction. And if you're getting booed or whatever, as long as the people aren't silent, you're doing something. And yeah, I'm really, really, really interested to see what they do with it, because I think it's going to be really, really cool.
Exactly. I mean, hey, give me Trinity versus Harley Hudson. That's going to be a think that's going to be selling absolute tickets as well. But obviously, another show you had this year as well was Sweep the Leg. Shane Hooker versus Michelangelo. I'm pretty sure before it was announced originally, it was just like a normal match. But then obviously it was for Michelangelo's TNT Extreme Championship as well. I mean, I want to know, how did that come about? Didn't like TNT offer it, or did Nico offer it? What happened there, my friend?
So yeah, originally was just a non-title match, and then obviously Nico won the title there, and he actually came to me, Nico, and said, "Look, I want to make this belt mean something, not just at TNT. I mean, obviously it already does, but he's like, I want to make it mean something elsewhere, all over the country." So he was looking to defend it in different promotions. So he told me about that, and I actually asked him. I was like, "Do you think they'd be cool with you defending it at our show against Shane? I think that would be a really good, not only a great match anyway, but when the title's on the line, and it just adds a little something more. And not only that, it gets a little, a bit of eyes on the TNT title for Shane, and gets eyes on us because the TNT title is on the line, so everybody wins at the end of the day." And excuse me, yeah, Nico went to the guys at TNT and threw the idea up to them, and they were like, "Absolutely, let's do it. Sounds great." So that's how easy it was. It was great.
That's nice. Sometimes it's just simple as that, just a wee little sign check and it happens. I want to know as well, Bevan, though, is there many other great companies here in the UK as well? Is there any one of them you would love to bring maybe their titles in and have them defended in No Mercy?
Oh, I mean, we've already had, as I said, we've had TNT, we've had the Wrestle Carnival, Queen of the Carnival Championship on our very first show. That was fantastic as well, with Alex Windsor. We've had a Pro Wrestling Carnage heavyweight title defended. We recently just had the New Wave Academy title defended. It was like an impromptu match. It was Elijah versus Lucia Lee. Again, they were due to have a match anyway. Elijah came out and thought, "You know what? I'm feeling generous today. Let's put the title on the line." So the New Wave title has been on the line as well. So yeah, I'm all about having just work, as I said earlier, working together with other companies, because it's a win-win situation. Like if, say, for example, Pro Wrestling Carnage's title is on a No Mercy show, there might be someone in the crowd who's like, "Oh, Pro Wrestling Carnage, I've never heard of them before. I wonder what they're like." On the phone, check Twitter, check Instagram, whatever. Boom, you have another fan right there. And then, but on the flip side of that, it helps elevate our product because we have another title on the line, obviously, which always helps. People love title matches, and not only that, it just shows that we're working together. It shows that there isn't any animosity or anything like that. And I think that's what's most valuable in these situations, is the fact that we can work together and show that we are, solidified and that we're working together. And as I said, I think it's just a win-win situation for everybody. But to go to your question, I think I would love to have someone. I tell you whose belt I absolutely love, or most of them, is the Immortal Wrestling belts. They are so nice. I would love to just have them defended just so I could see it in person, because I love those belts. They look amazing. Shout out to Jay White, who runs Immortal. But yeah, I mean, like, I'm open to anyone really, as long as they're a safe, reputable, legit company. Then I'm open to anyone defending the titles on a No Mercy show.
Well, who knows, mate? Maybe we could have Father of the Year, Christian Cage, stop by during All In next year and have a TNT Championship.
Can you imagine?
You'll love to see it. But obviously, another thing I must congratulate you on, my friend, because I know you were a finalist in our Startup Awards as well for Hospitality and Event Startups of the Year. And first of all, how did that award situation come about? And, what does it mean to you to be nominated for that?
Yeah, that was a bit of a crazy one. Obviously, it's aside from the wrestling stuff, but we're pulling the curtain back a bit here. But No Mercy isn't. Not many people know that No Mercy isn't just a promotion. We're also a training school, and we also do live event production, hiring out our services for it. So we will rent out our wrestling ring. We offer live event production services. So we'll come in and basically run a show for a promoter. So the way I see it is, like, obviously I know how stressful a show day is and how much you've got to do. And my business model was I wanted to take as much stress away from the promoter as possible, so they can focus on the show and booking it and the matches and making sure the show runs as smooth as possible. So if I can take the stress of getting the ring set up or getting the entranceway set up or getting the music set up, all of that kind of logistics, if I can take all of that stress away from them, then they can then focus on the main aspect of booking the show and running it, So we also, as I said, we also offer those services. So, and we do that for New Wave Academy. We do it for Pro Wrestling Chaos. We do the ring rental for them. We do it for Attack Pro Wrestling, Carnage, Slam Masters, Exposure for the Coyote, Ugly shows, like the list goes on. So we work with near enough every company in Wales now, where we either rent our wrestling ring or we do the full shebang, which is the wrestling ring, the entranceway, the music, the live event production, basically. Mm. So there's all of that aspect to No Mercy as well that not many people know about. And yeah, one day I got an email from the Startup Awards saying that I'd been nominated for Hospitality and Events Company of the Year, and I was just like, where did this come from? I still, to this day, don't know who nominated me. No one's admitted to it. So I'm not sure. But yeah, it was very, very humbling. Very, very, I was proud, obviously. Like, at this, because I'm quite a chilled out guy. I'm not a person who loves to like sit there and tap myself on the back and say, oh, I'm amazing, I did this, but my business partner and a few of my friends were saying, no, actually take this time to sit back and actually acknowledge what you've done here and actually see you've actually done all right, and because I've got so much to do, I don't have time to sit back and look and realize what I've built. And when I do finally sit down and do that and take 5 minutes to myself, I'm like, yeah, actually we're doing okay. We're doing all right. And obviously that nomination, was evidence of that. Unfortunately, we didn't win, but we made the final and we got to go to the awards, all suited and booted with tuxedos, red carpet, and all of that jazz. So it was really, really fun. First time anything like that has ever happened to me. I'm just a guy who loves wrestling who decided to build a company, and from the arse end of nowhere in Wales, and to be on the red carpet with like tuxedos on and all that kind of thing. It was just very surreal and very strange, but it was a great experience. It really was.
Oh, come on, Ben. I hope they treated you well and gave you like the finest wine as well, and champagne and a wee bit of caviar biscuits, and not just like Tesco meal deal sandwiches. I mean, come on, you'd expect a wee bit of hospitality there, my friend.
You would. I tell you what we did get. We got free Tiny Rebel IPAs on every table. They had like 3 boxes on every table, and they were like, yeah, take them home. I was like, thank you, sorted. So yeah, that was fun. Yeah, we had great food. It was just great. It was a really good experience. As I said, unfortunately we didn't win, but at the end of the day, I mean, I'm just chuffed I got nominated in the first place, so.
Hey, it's an experience as well, my friend. You mentioned my favorite word there, free. I love the word free. It's the best word.
Same. I love that too.
Oh, God, please, Tony Khan, give me free tickets for All In, and you'll love me even more.
Yeah,
obviously, with No Mercy as well. I know you were be on a network as well, the Premier Network as well, and you also have a new intro as well. Like, it was a song by a local band, I believe, called Double Ganger, right?
Yeah, so Double Gang is the track, and the band are called I Can't Die. It's a band that I've worked closely with over a number of years. As you said, they're local. So one of the guys, Kyle, the front man, I know him quite well. I've worked in some capacity, worked together with him for a number of years. At the last place I was part of before No Mercy, we tried to do a show where we had, so it was going to be an 18+ show where we would have bands playing, and I Can't Die were going to be one of those bands. Unfortunately, the show didn't take place, but that was the plan. And then for our 18+ show, First Let's Stand Them and Fly, which was at the end of September, again, that was going to be the plan. We were going to have I Can't Die come in and actually perform our intro live before the show. It was going to be amazing. Unfortunately, they couldn't make it, last minute cancellation, but we will do something like that in the future, I'm sure. But yeah, they're fantastic guys, and I just love, because I come from, before I was in wrestling, I come from the music industry, so I was in bands. I used to promote gigs as well, so I know that world quite well. So, and being in bands myself, I know how difficult it is to get your music out there and to get noticed and to get any kind of opportunity whatsoever. Very similar to wrestling, actually, funnily enough. But yeah, I've always wanted to give bands and artists a chance to be seen and be heard. So I'm always offering local artists and bands, you know, a chance to throw their music on some of our content. So obviously, as you said, I Can't Die, they're our official theme, if you will, for our intro. We've worked with a band called Chaos Sequence from Bristol, who are the theme for our new stable, The Virus. Their track is called The Virus, so perfect, it works out. They were nice enough to give us their song for that. We've worked with other bands where they've given us a song for our highlight reels, for example. I just love working together with other bands and companies and artists and collaborate. Like, I'm a big proponent of collaboration. Collaboration to me, in the creative industries at least, collaboration is the most important thing, because not only, you know, it's a win-win situation for everyone, and everyone gets to experience something that they wouldn't have got to experience before. So, like, for example, it helps that I Can't Die are wrestling fans. Fantastic. So it works out for us, works out for them too. And, you know, like the Chaos Sequence guys, they said to me, they were like, never really been into wrestling, never really watched it, but it's cool that you want to use our song for it. And now that we have, and now that they've watched some of our content, they've actually said, this is pretty cool, and we might come to a show now. And you know what I mean? It just works, and it's win-win. And not only now we've got some more fans in those guys, but the working relationship gets better because they actually want to do it now because they're excited about it. And, you know, and now we're talking about, you know, maybe they'll do a song for another wrestler of ours on our roster or something like that, you know. So it's just constantly working together with other people is what I strive for, and that's what I love doing. I really, really have a passion for it.
Hey, it's synergy, mate. It works out in the end.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, something you touched upon earlier, we'll get into more detail now. The No Mercy Wrestling Championship, my friend. I want to know, because obviously you kind of touched upon it last time you hear maybe like the concept of it, but now it's here, it's visualized, and it's physically here. I want to know, what were the initial plans going into like the design of the belt, and then when you got it, how chuffed were you with the final product?
Obviously, we've always planned to have the No Mercy Championship. It just so happened that we had the Legacy Championship come first, because we had Combat Clothing, who makes wrestling and MMA gear. They came to us and were like, we want to sponsor a belt, so would you be cool with doing this? So again, collaboration, working together, all worked out. So that title came first, but I really wanted to make sure that the quote unquote main belt, the No Mercy Wrestling Championship, I didn't want to rush it. I didn't want to jump into something where I would regret looking at it and go, oh, actually, I'm not a fan of this. I really wanted to take my time with it because, you know, your main belt it's a tool and it's a vehicle to push your brand. And I really, really wanted to make sure that it looked as best as it could be, because there's so many belts out there that just look so poor. Like, they just, and don't get me wrong, if that's the way that company wants to go, that's their prerogative, that's fine. And, you know, I'm not going to knock anyone, but me personally, I'm big on investing in yourself and investing in people that work with you. So I'm huge on investing in media, and I'm sure you know you'll agree. Having a brand and a great branding and great media stance is so important to everything. And as you can probably see, and probably people will probably agree, you probably notice that I'm very, very big on making everything that I like No Mercy does as best as it can be content wise. I'm big on professional looking content. And so I invest into my media team. I invest in my videographers, BA Productions. I invest in my photographers, Blue Radical. And there are some companies out there that are just like, oh, I'm not going to pay for that. I'm just going to get a trainee to do it, or my mate who happens to have a digital camera. If that's what you want to do, that's cool. But personally, that isn't enough for me. That's not enough for No Mercy. And we do it, quote unquote, properly. And we invest. So I wanted the same thing for the belt. And I'm a huge fan of the old school, like 70s Japanese style belt. So that's why we went with the brown belt. And the shape of it was more oblong rather than round. And so, yeah, I spent a good, I want to say 3 to 4 months just sitting down with pieces of paper, drawing and designing with other people who are much better artists than me, trying to design it. And I think we went through about 7 or 8 drafts before I was actually like, yeah, that's cool. So it did take a while to get the design down. And then we went with Hellfire Designs, who are absolutely amazing belt designers. I have to give them a shout out. Such great guys. Helped me out amazingly, because when I first went to them, I was like, look, hold my hands up. I have no idea what I'm doing with a belt design. So here's all of these pieces of paper, go nuts. And they did that. They took all of my designs. I scanned them all in, sent them to them. They took them all, and then they made this amazing like digital 3D rendition of it. And I was just like, oh, it looks so good. Looks so good. Yeah, so then we went to our belt makers in Dubai, and shout out to Mohammed as well from Royal Belts. He was fantastic too. And yeah, I think it was from the time I sent the designs off to actually having it in my hands, I think it was about 8 weeks. So it was very short time, very, very quick. And that's from Dubai as well. So it was so fast, and almost so fast that I was just like, oh, it's here. Oh, crap. Now we have to actually do something with it. So we actually had the belt for a long time before I'd even done anything with it. Like, obviously, it was contested for in a ladder match at our 18 plus show in the end of September. But I probably had the belt since maybe like May or June. So I'd had it that long, trying to figure out what to actually do with it and how to make the first match for it as good as it could be. Because I didn't want to just do the regular, like on a show, oh, here's the main event and now it's for the main belt. That to me is a bit of a cop-out. It's a bit of a waste and a bit lazy. So I was like, I need to make this special. The first match for this belt needs to be huge and a big deal. So that's when I came up with like it was meant to be a 6-person ladder match. Unfortunately, Shane Hooker got injured just before it. So it would have been Shane in there as well, which I think would have been amazing too. So yeah, because it was such last minute, we just changed it to a 5-person ladder match. And yeah, as everyone knows, Jay Joshua was the first ever No Mercy Wrestling champion, and I can't think of anyone else that's more deserving, to be honest. Because Jay's been with us since day one. He was on our very first show. He actually wrestled the new Legacy champion, Kenny Mantra, ironically. So I like a nice full circle moment there. And it was a great feeling. It really was.
I can imagine. Hopefully the custom charges weren't too bad from the Royal Mail, because I know they can be a bit of a bugger, those guys. But yeah, Bevan, my friend. Look, my PayPal's open right now. When our replicas coming? Look, come on. I've got some funds after all in. I'm just saying, when replicas come, you gotta let me know.
I mean, you're not the only person that has asked for it, so I might get in touch with Mohammed and just say, let's see what we can do for a replica,
obviously a belt that's kind of had a synonymous history with this show is of the Combat Legacy, held previously by 2-time guest of the show now, James Ellis. I mean, I'm happy to trade the white IC. I remember you were eyeing it last time you were on. It's still there.
That's let's talk after the interview.
There you go. Let's just hope the Royal Mail's not going to do me too bad on the postage charge.
Yeah.
But obviously, things have been going very well for No Mercy as well, and you've had some great stars. And I know you mentioned the virus there, but you would team with kind of a legend as well, too, Hotty, obviously as well, the good, the bad, and the badass show. I want to know, how did it come about, first of all, getting Scotty to Hotty in, and then obviously tying with him? That's going to be like a dream situation for you, brother, right?
Literally a dream, yeah. And when I say literally a dream, I literally mean literally. When I was a teenager, say, I don't know, let's say 13, 14 years old, I think I told you this on the last time I was on here, but I was the biggest Too Cool fan in the world. I had everything. I had the yellow glasses, I had the baseball jersey, I had the t-shirts, I had the Grandmaster Sexay do-rag, I had everything. And I loved it. And I literally would dream of being in Too Cool and tagging with Scotty Too Hotty because I wanted to be Grandmaster Sexay. And the fact that it actually happened a couple of weeks ago, it hasn't actually hit me properly yet that I've actually done it. But I actually got the footage back last night from BA Productions of the show, and I watched the matches, and I was just like, it didn't, I mean, obviously it was me, but it didn't seem like it was me on there tagging with Scotty, and I was just like, and I'm still on cloud nine now to this day, and it was, when was it? November 12th, so we're looking almost 2 weeks ago. It was just unreal. It was such a surreal moment, and like you said, literal dream match, and for that to come true for me, I can't even explain to you how I felt at the time. But so we originally had Scotty last year in the summer. He was due to be on our show. Excuse me. Due to many unfortunate, unforeseen circumstances, the show had to be pulled last minute. But of course, Scotty was there, as was the rest of the roster and most of the fans queuing outside. So I was like, crap, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So we ended up having like a sort of evening with Q&A type deal with Scotty, where, people got to meet him and have photos and answer questions and all that kind of stuff. So it still was something, but it didn't go as to plan. So I've always had it in the back of my mind. I need redemption for this. I need to actually get him in the ring in No Mercy. I need to do what I originally planned to do, because I felt like, even though we still put an event on, we still gave people something for their money, I still feel like I didn't deliver as much as what I said I was going to deliver on. And you ask anyone that knows me, I'm a huge advocate of sticking to your word and doing what you say you're going to do. And, like, my word is my bond. If I say to someone I'm going to do this, then I'm going to make sure that I'll do everything in my power to make sure it happens. And I didn't get that the first time with Scotty, so it ate away at me for so long. Well, it was July of 2022, so that's how long it's been since trying to sort this out. So as soon as I heard that he was coming back to the UK for another tour, I was straight on the laptop and I emailed him instantly. I was just like, Scott, I know it didn't happen last time, and I don't know if you're cool with coming back or not, but I need to make this happen. I need to, for my own sanity, I need to have a redemption on this, because it's eaten me away that I didn't get to do it. Not only for my own selfish reasons of tagging with him, but just, as I said, because I put it out there in the public that I was having Scotty Too Hotty on No Mercy, and it didn't happen. I was just like, oh, I got to get this done. I got to get it done. So yeah, I emailed Scott. Luckily, we kept in touch from last year, just randomly. We speak a lot. Me and Scott had a lot of conversations about politics and the state of the gun laws in America right now. So that was quite interesting. So yeah, we just talk about random stuff like that, and we just email each other every couple of weeks. So we were still on a talking basis. And then I emailed him and said, I saw that you're coming back to the UK for a talk. Can we do this? Let's make it happen. And he was like, absolutely, let's do it. He was like, I love Wales. Like, he keeps saying how he loves Tenby in Wales. It's one of his favorite places in the world, literally. And I was like, really? Of all the places you've been in the world? But yeah, he loves Wales. He loves it, and he wanted to come back. And he was like, yep. Last time I could see how much it really ate you up, and I want you to get this redemption as well. So let's make it happen. And we came up with a date, which worked out for both of us. And as I say, the rest is history, and it worked out great. And we sold out Caerphilly Leisure Centre. It was actually over a sellout. We had to bring extra chairs in It was insane. Like, we were due to start at 3 p.m. I think we started at like 25 to 4 because the queue was still waiting. We were still waiting for people to come in because that's how long the queue was. It was insane, man. It was so amazing. Like, it's a good problem to have, having not enough seats, you know. So yeah, we had to bring extra seats, and we sold out Caerphilly Leisure Centre, and everyone had such a great time. The crowd was electric from start to finish. It was just probably, I'd say, I'm quite convinced that was probably our best show we've ever done so far.
Okay, fair play, man. You made the dream come true and had a happy crowd and some banger matches. And one I definitely need to talk about: James Ellis versus Kenny Matra. No disqualification. No disqualifications. Goddamn Scottish tongues get me there in a minute. Obviously, and I know Kenny's career was on the line as well for the Combat Legacy Championship. And I know when I had James on last year, he was maybe about a few months into his reign, and then I had him on recently. His reign has ended. I want to know from yourself, Bevan, what do you think James Ellis brought to the Combat Legacy Championship during his reign?
James, as I've said before on a few different podcasts, the Legacy Championship has always been the workhorse belt for No Mercy. It's, I guess you could call it the equivalent of the IC title. It's a title that the people that have that title in No Mercy are people that truly deserve it. Not that other people don't deserve the other belt, but the people that have been with No Mercy from the start. They put in the effort and they work hard, and James Ellis is the epitome of all of those things. He works so unbelievably hard to be as good as he is, and he's very, very good. But not only that, he's professional. He's a professional wrestler. Like, when you say professional wrestler, it's kind of like turned into one word, but he's a professional wrestler. Do you know what I mean? So he does everything perfectly. He's very respectful. He does everything that is asked of him. He never complains. He comes up with great ideas. He just loves it, and this is why. And that they're the kind of people that I want to help or push, if you will, because having people like that on your roster, like James, is so beneficial because they bring everyone else up. Like, his attitude in the locker room is so, like, passionate and positive. You can't help but be excited about wrestling when he's around, because he makes everyone so passionate and excited. Like, he radiates that, and everyone else feels that too. And it's just like, he's just got such a great attitude towards wrestling that I can't say enough good words about him. I really can't. And he has, because of that, he has elevated our title too. He's elevated the Legacy Championship to a point where people will know about that belt before they know about No Mercy, and then they see, oh, it's No Mercy, and he's definitely gotten eyes on us because of being the champion, without a doubt. Because, you know, like, you'll have a lot of wrestlers out there who will win a belt and they think it's all about them, whereas having a title isn't just about you. It's having a title is the company putting their trust in you to be the face or to run with the ball, so to speak. And, you know, not only is it a thing of I have a title, but you have a responsibility when you're a champion of a company, and you need to what's the word I'm looking for? You need to, like, quote unquote, this sounds a bit weird, but lack of a better term, you need to, like, do your job. You know, you have a job when you're a champion, and that job is elevating the company that you're the champion of and the rest of the roster. And Ellis did that brilliantly, no pun intended. You know, he elevated everyone that he was in the ring with. He elevated the company, and, you know, I cannot thank him enough for doing what he did with that belt, because he definitely made No Mercy, you know, he elevated us a lot more than we might have without him. So, you know, I just wanted to thank him as well for the huge amount of work he put in to making that belt what it was. And obviously now that Kenny Matra has it, I think Kenny's going to do just as good his job, if not better. And that's another person who truly, truly deserves it. Again, Kenny's been with us since day one. Again, it's another full circle, amazing moment for Kenny, because our very first show, he was in the pre-show Battle Royal. And now our last show of 2023, he's the legacy champion. So that to me is a great, a nice arc of a story, because he started off in the pre-show Battle Royal, and the winner of that Battle Royal, which he won, got a match on the main card, which again, ironically, was Jay Joshua, who is now the No Mercy Wrestling champion. So it all comes together in a full circle, and that's what I love about writing wrestling storylines, is because I can give these moments to these guys, and I can see how passionate they are about them and how happy that it makes them when the things that we all come, because it's not just me, it's that storyline with James Ellis and Kenny Mantra. It wasn't just me, obviously, it was those guys as well. So they came up with ideas. We all sat down and came up with this whole storyline plan. And like you saw, I don't know if you've seen the sit-down interview they had before the last show. We were coming up with ideas for that, and it's like, when me as a booker or as a promoter, when I see all of that planned out, and then when I see it actually implemented and it actually being done, and I see it on a screen or live in the ring, it's just such a good feeling. And I'm so happy for those guys, because I know those guys are super passionate about it, and I know that they really, really care about it. And to see that result, like to see Kenny get the belt and to see Ellis put in so much work to elevate Kenny to the point where, he was getting a "You deserve it" chant. And then when he came backstage, like I always try to make sure that I'm the first person that wrestlers see when they come through the curtain. If it's my show, that's the way I think it should be. Those guys came through the curtain, obviously shook their hand, thanked them for the match, asked them if they're okay. That's the most important thing. And Kenny came through, and he couldn't speak. He was in tears. He was just so emotional about it. And that to me is like a huge deal. Like for him, it must be even better. But that to me was enough. That's where I pat myself on the back. That's the rare occasion I will pat myself on the back and go, good job. I made something there, and I made a moment for those guys. And yeah, it just makes me really, really happy to see it when people's hard work pays off, especially if I can be a little tiny help with it, and I'm just glad I can give those guys those moments.
Yeah, absolutely true, Bevan. And I'm sure Kenny Mantra will be an absolutely stellar Combat Legacy champion. But something myself I want to get insight and want your thoughts on. I wonder, what do you think maybe has more pressure and more like the anticipation, being an inaugural champion or be the first person to continue the lineage of a championship?
I think it's being the second champion has probably got more pressure on it. Because when you're a first champion, you're kind of setting the story, if you will. You're setting the stones. And like on that sit-down interview that James Ellis said, he was calling it at one point the Combat Legacy European No Mercy Championship, because he wanted to go around Europe with it. He wanted to truly make it a European title, and I would have absolutely been on board with it had he kept the title. But who knows? Maybe Kenny will do that. But it's like, personally, I would rather be a first champion than a second, because Kenny, like James Ellis, held that belt for over 400 days. I think it was 449 in total, and that is a huge pressure to replicate. And I don't know if he's going to do it, but yeah, I mean, Kenny's got some very, very large, brilliant shoes to fill with this belt, but I don't doubt that he's going to work his absolute hardest to do it at all.
No, absolutely, mate. I think it'll be a stellar performance for Kenny Mantra being the Combat Legacy champion now, but as well. But something I've had some maybe previous promoters on, especially in the UK, talking about it's a big UK super show, you know, having every element of the UK doing a massive super show. And I want to know from yourself, Bevan, say if you got to be a part of this massive UK super show, say it was, you know, No Mercy, New Wave, OTT up in Northern Ireland, ICW, Pro 2, Discovery up in Scotland as well, Progress, Rev Pro. I want to know, maybe if you got to book your representation match for No Mercy and you could pick anyone from these other companies to have a, you know, a good old fashioned fight with, who would you like to be your representation for No Mercy, and who would you want them to fight?
Ooh, that is a good question. I would probably, like, the selfish part of my brain would be like, I'd want me to do it, but on the other hand, it's like I wouldn't do that. I would give it to someone, you know, like I'm coming towards the end of my career in ring. You know, I'm getting old. I'm getting broken. I'm all like a barely, you know, my back's all buggered. So I'm at the point now where I'm like, let's let the younger guys come up. Let's let them take the spotlight. But it would either be probably either one of the champions. I mean, as it is right now, it's obviously Jay Joshua and Kenny Mantra. So it would probably be one of those guys, depending on if Jay is used for a different company, because he might be used for, say, Attack or Chaos or whatever, you know. So that's the beauty of our scene, is like so many guys could be the representative of any company in Wales because everyone works together. So that's the thing. I would say it would either be Jay or Kenny, and I think Kenny would have an absolute phenomenal match with Spike Trivet. I really do. So I reckon it would be that if it was Kenny. And for Jay, I would probably go with
the anticipation.
Who is the Rev Pro champion right now?
Is it not Michael Oku?
I thought it was. Yeah, I didn't want to say Michael Oku in case he wasn't champion, but if it is Michael Oku, it would be Michael Oku. Yeah.
Jay, well, we've willed it into existence now, so it's not. It's happening now.
Jay Joshua and Michael Oku would be unreal.
Stellar to see, brother. Stellar to see as well. But obviously, you know, the big companies, they came over as well. WWE, as you mentioned, Clash of the Castle, possibly WrestleMania, Money in the Bank. TNA, they had their shows up in Glasgow, Coventry, and many others while their gut check. But AEW as well, they ran Wembley. God, it was this year as well. God, that's just my mind's going as well. Like, damn, this year's went quick. But now they're coming back as well. So I want to know from yourself, Bevan, as a fan of wrestling as well, what 3 matches would you love to see at the next year All In?
I mean, obviously now that they've announced that he's signed, Will Ospreay. I think Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega I know they've done it before, but in the Wembley setting could be mind blowing. Like they would do, because they're in Wembley, you know they would go all out. No pun intended, and it would be unbelievable. So I think that would be one. Again, I'm a huge fan of Christian Cage. Always have been. This is one of my controversial takes in wrestling. I've always thought that Christian was better than Edge. Always thought that, and I always get vilified for it. But yeah, I've always been a fan of Christian, and so I think Christian. Oh, who could he?
Are you thinking of the Adam Copeland blow-off match? Have that happen at All In, or
that would be sick at Wembley as well. If they had some kind of final match, but then I think if they had a final match, I think one of them would retire if it was at Wembley. Personally, because we're better to retire on that kind of stage. So yeah, I'd probably have Edge or Adam Copeland and Christian. I think I want to see, selfishly, because I've always been a big fan of him, I want to see a proper retirement match for Billy Gunn.
Oh.
Because he left his boots in the ring, but it wasn't really a proper retirement match. No one really knows if he actually has retired or not. So I think he needs a proper blow-off thank you very much, right off into the sunset moment. And again, there'd be no better place to do it than Wembley.
Mate,
So I reckon.
I agree. I agree 100%. I'm thinking it now. Get Billy Gunn, the Acclaim, as the Trios champion versus Bullet Club Gold, Juice Robinson, and the Guns. Title and career match for Billy. That writes itself.
It does. Literally, it's a license to print money right there. Do it. Tony can't do it. That makes sense.
Well, as long as Billy Gunn comes up to Ass Man theme, and then we're all going to be happy. We'll truly be a happy bunch.
Absolutely.
Well, Bevan, my friend, it's been a true pleasure having you back here on the Soul Sessions. But as we, wrap up, one final question for my friend. 2024 is coming up. I want to know, what are 3 goals for No Mercy in 2024?
Well, we have got in plans. I don't want to say it's still in the planning stage. We are getting a tag tournament in the works, because we are getting tag team titles. Again, I'm taking my time and designing them and making sure that they're right, because again, I want to make sure that it's perfect. But eventually, we did have a tag tournament planned for the end of this year. Just timing wise, it didn't work out. So it will be next year at some point, probably around the summer. So we are having a tag team tournament, invitational, whatever you want to call it. We have started booking that right now. So we've got some great teams in the pipeline for that. If you look at our past shows, you can probably guess who some of them are. So I don't want to say too much, but yeah, tag team tournament for our new tag titles is coming up next year. We've also got, obviously, the third, I can't believe I'm saying this, but the 3rd annual Iron Cobra tournament will be happening next year. I can't believe we're on the 3rd one already. It's crazy. Obviously, Leon Cage won the 2nd annual at our last show. So yeah, that's going to be fun, because as with our last one, we opened it up to other training academies. So we're going to do exactly the same again. Hopefully we'll get a few more different academies involved too. So again, that's a stage for all the other credible, safe, awesome, legit training academies in the country to be like, yeah, let's send our best representative down to Wales and see what he can do, So that's going to be really, really fun. And then obviously, in March, then we'll have our 2nd anniversary show, which again sounds mental to say out loud. Especially when our first show, I remember saying the words, "Oh, I'll do one show and see how it goes," and now here we are, So it's the first 6 months of No Mercy for 2024 is looking to be very, not only exciting but also very busy. So I need to prepare myself. So I'm gonna have the second half of December off. Well, I say off. I'm still gonna be behind the curtain doing stuff. But as for show wise, we're done now. But I think our last ring rental is the middle of, I think it's December 16th. So after that, I'm done for Christmas. I'm done for New Year's. I'm having some much deserved time off, because I haven't had time off, I think, since 2022. So I'm going to have some time off. And then, after New Year's, it's straight back on the horse, hit the ground running. Off we go.
Hey, fair dues, mate. You've heard it here first, folks. And I can't wait to see what comes out of No Mercy in 2024. Bevan, my friend, it's a pleasure having you back here on the Soul Sessions. And I know in this modern day and age, people are lazy. You won't cook a meal because you'll have a delivery deliver and you pay the $250 charge. You won't watch a show individually. You want Netflix to give it all at once. So I'll be kind to you. I'll put Bevan and No Mercy's Instagram link in the description of this video. Click them, follow them, and see what's going on in the world of No Mercy. Now, well, thank you, folks, for tuning in for another episode of the Soul Sessions. I would say the whole YouTuber stick, but it's been around since 2005. Why am I going to bother? You know what you're doing. I think you're somewhat knowledgeable of how this system works. But hey, folks, as I say, as always, stay well and stay humble.